Hey nerds, Sages here. So I gotta ask this question just real quick, and usually I don't do reactionary videos too quickly, but I saw this comment and figured, well, why not touch upon it, see what goes on, shall we? So this was, of course, from, hopefully it's showing up on the screen, please, editing Sages, do your job. LizardkingXIII, he asked, Sages, please make a video about close counter, especially for H. Jacob, and the benefits of it. I need this. I have a Takumi that does nothing. Okay, well, when it comes to close counter, I have to say that close counter has a lot less viability than it does, say, distant counter. Everyone, I mean, everyone and their mother uses distant counter. It's everywhere. I've seen it in Arena. I've seen it for units like, even Dancer Azura here. I've seen it everywhere. And in fact, I still have the Titania thing probably lying around. Can I put that up on the screen? Just give you an idea, there is another use for distant counter. A lot of people like putting it on different characters. Typically, these characters are usually seen as mage busters or, units that counter really powerful meta units like that Titania from Resi that we had. That is mostly there to throttle that poor Reinhardt into oblivion. Typically, distant counter has a lot more usage than close counter because a lot of these units that can have, the whole defense and value and things like that, they're a little bit more variance, and there's different forms of them, and oh god, there's just so much to talk about. But the simple fact here is that a lot of the time, I don't know if you guys remember a little while ago, I posted a video where I ran into a Sonya. If I can find Sonya here, I'm kind of dumb. That's not news. But still, Sonya here, +3, 16 measly defense with Fury. Delicious. And I ran into someone outside of, outside in Arena, and basically they had close counter on Sonya, and that's a big no-no, unless I guess you're going after dragons. But even then, what's the point? Well, the point is that with that measly amount of defense, you're not going to be able to counter any real unit that is worth their, snuff and actually trying to, and yes, I said snuff, worth their salt, worth their whatever, and, with that defensive value, you're going to be absolutely obliterated, especially for a mage unit. And that's kind of the problem that results in a lot of the things that kind of come with close counter, is that most of the units that could use it, typically, they really can't. I mean, just to give you an idea, before these two units came out, Takumi was, of course, his own good old archer with his own ability there. He has at least some defense. Then we had units like Leon and Henry, which were units that were, ranged units that had some pretty significant defense. But Henry, of course, had low attack, and Leon is actually very good in his own way. He could probably make use out of close counter if you built around it. But then again, it's really hard to say. But when it came to these units, honestly, close counter is definitely made for them. At least it makes more sense than a lot of other units out there. That's because, of course, as you can see, here's my Jacob. You can see that his defense value is obscenely high, at least for a archer. Most archers like that just kind of go the way of low defense, high attack and speed, or sometimes a mixture of both. And yeah, he can be a monster in his own way. So should you put close counter on him? Well, that depends, okay? The way I run him, at least he's going to have two builds. As you can see, I'm working on Slaying Bow Plus right now. And you can kind of tell that he's going to be a pretty power-hungry monster, at least in how he works. I wanted to, accent his defense capabilities, but I also wanted him to be able to, in case I need to run him this way, make it so that in player phase he can deal a lot of damage as well. Typically with counter abilities, you want to bait. That's the idea. Distant counter is one ability that everyone loves, but the thing is, a lot of the time when it comes to certain abilities like close counter and stuff like that, you probably won't be killing the target, at least, not as effectively as, say, Hector or even Black Knight in some occasions, unless, you have a color triangle advantage like, say, Henry. But simply put, with Jacob, yeah, you can make him work. The idea is you want to bait him and maybe perhaps use a stronger bow with a slaying bow. Slaying bow is something that's really great for baiting because you just want to lure the target in because of how the AI works. Again, if you put a character in any of the danger areas that an AI could see and, feasibly get to with whatever sort of, ranged unit, melee unit, they will take that advantage. They will go in, they will attack you. That's the idea. And as you can see here, I'm still working on it, but we're getting there. And the idea there is to, even if it's a melee unit, take advantage of it. I say, yeah, you should probably consider it. If you really want to try a close counter build, both of these units, both Henry and Jacob, work exceptionally well in Ward Emblem. They do. If you really want to roll with that, close counter is definitely a good idea. Granted, Henry is a little bit more squishy when it comes to that, but if you decide to build him in some ways, he won't be taking as much damage, and he has the speed to at least negate any possible doubles. And of course, Jacob has inbuilt Wary Fighter if you decide to use him, so that's always a plus and an advantage. But when it comes to close counter, right now, it's a little bit hard to really give a go-ahead to give close counter to anything but these units, because, well, we've never really had much use for close counter outside of Takumi. I've seen people put it on Bowie and it worked pretty well. I've seen people put it on Leon and it worked somewhat. Characters that can typically handle the majority of what's going to be coming at you in melee range will be able to at least get some good use out of close counter. So if you're going to put them on any of these units, yes, go right ahead, do it. But don't slap it on a Sonya. Don't slap it on, a Delthea with like 6 defense. You're not gonna get anywhere, bro. You're not. I mean, I'm pretty sure Delthea with her defense is just going to melt the instant she gets hit by anything that is melee related, and that's just, I've decided I'd give you guys an example of why, distant counter tends to be favored over this. Mostly, well, unless you're going up against a dragon with a mage, you're probably not going to survive unless it's one of these weirder units out there that can make good on this. I mean, Jacob has a little bit of a problem in that he doesn't really have a triangle advantage when it comes to this kind of stuff, but you can make do. And, of course, he will do a lot of damage when you do proc things like Bonfire. And, of course, Henry is exceptionally good with it if you can build a good armor emblem team around him that can make use of it as well, especially with things like Quick Riposte. And, of course, Gronal. Gronal is a pretty interesting weapon for him, because he'll be grouping up together anyways. I'll show you some examples a little bit later in the next arena video I'm going to be doing, because I'm going to be taking these guys out now that they're more complete, and sending them through their steps and seeing what's going to happen. I need to get Jacob swap, however, and then eventually I'll be done. So anyways, that's just a brief overview of if you should use it, how you should use it. Again, if you're going to be using it on Jacob, chances are you may want to use Slaying Bow as, a much more powerful bait tool, but Brave Bow, if you don't have that advantage, will work just as well. Just don't expect too much, and your turn will have to be the killing blow. Just saying. Anyways, that's about it, friends. When it comes to close counter, it's really kind of sad. Takumi's little niche kind of fell into a dark, dark pit. You know what? We have orbs. Let's try rolling for another, I was gonna say rolling for a Takumi, but I kind of want to roll for another, Henry or something. Let's just try that real quick, guys. Fortunately, my whole thing is kind of, ooh, oh boy, that's gonna end soon, isn't it? Okay, well, I need to go and do my, gauntlet as well, because I haven't done too much. Yeah, let's roll. See what we get. Probably won't get anything, but I'm sure someone will just tell me how bad I am anyways. But that's the end of our discussion on close counter. Hope you guys enjoyed. Yay! 3 stars. Alright. Okay, I'll catch you nerds later. That was just what I decided. Thanks, I believe it was Lizard King the 13th. I almost said 3rd. Hopefully Editing Sages did the right thing and put the name up again. Anyways, see you next